What's good? What's good? I am back. Yours truly, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast. Before we get started, I got to shout out all my sponsors. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. If you need online marketing promotion for your music, your product, your brand, and your service, please check out promopalace.biz. You see it scrolling below. And for Shizzle, do you dizzle? Yes, I dizzle. Check out dizzlebrand.com. You can order bottles online, order t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and more. Dozens of recipes. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and more. Don't forget that the audio version of my podcast goes to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, and Rumble. And then we take the pre-recorded version and we also stream it live on 3 of the Twitter accounts, which is twitter.com/Paul P Podcast, twitter.com/Promo Palace LLC, and twitter.com/Paul W Pickett. Don't forget the audio version of my podcast goes to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, TuneIn, Slacker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and much more. Much more. First things first, let me pull up the NBA scores from last night. Okay, last night's scores. Minnesota beat Miami 113-104. Chicago beat Cleveland 101-91. Pacers beat the Spurs 119-108. The Bucks lost to the Golden State Warriors 122-109. They got spanked. Toronto beat Denver 127-115. And Toronto's been playing very, very well. Possibly has the rookie of the year on their team. Gary Trent been balling out. First time All-Star. And oh man, I forgot his name. Can't even forget his name. Well, let's keep it moving. Portland beat the Washington Wizards, and Utah beat Sacramento. And yeah, Fred VanVleet, that's his name, Fred VanVleet for Toronto. They got Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent, and Scotty Barnes is balling out. Possible Rookie of the Year or runner-up for Rookie of the Year. Let's pull up the standings. We're going to give you Paul Pickett's podcast, the Paul Power Picks, Triple P. Bear with me. All right, let me look at these standings real quick. They already got the bracket broke down on what the playoffs will look like and the play-in tournaments. Number 1, I'm going with the Miami Heat. Number 2, I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 3, I'm going with the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 4, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors. And number 5, I'm going with the Phoenix Suns. And please note that this could change week to week. And the only reason the Phoenix Suns aren't higher is because Chris Paul's been out. And they've lost a few games that they probably wouldn't have lost if Chris Paul would have been playing. And I still want to see more from the Sixers, the Bulls. Celtics are probably – watch out for the Celtics to make the Paul's power picks before the end of the year. They're literally 8-2 in the last 10, 5-game winning streak. Got one of the best defenses. Cleveland is starting to fall down. Watch Cleveland end up going into the – I predict the Cleveland falls into the play-in tournament, and Toronto makes it into that 6th seed. Toronto's going to get that 6th seed. And right now, the play-in tournament would be the Hawks, the Hornets, the Nets, and the Raptors for the Eastern Conference. And for the West, it'd be Pelicans, Lakers, Clippers, and T-Wolves. I don't know the Lakers can beat any one of those teams in the play-in tournament at all. I really don't. All right, let's get to some of these topics. Khalil Mack to the Chargers. Got traded for some picks. How many picks isn't important because they're just picks. What's important is Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack Joey Bosa, the rest of that squad. Um, Chargers. This is Chargers going into the win now mode next year. Why? Their quarterback's still in a rookie contract. Justin Herbert's still on a rookie contract, and they were right there last year. Tally up the defense. Maybe they'll make some moves in offense. Who knows? I think this is a good move for the Chargers. I like it. Khalil Mack to the Chargers for some picks. The Colts traded Wentz to the Washington Redskins. This is Wentz's last chance. Like, Wentz is going to have to redeem himself right here with this team. And all due respect, I saw a breakdown. Like, Wentz didn't have no really legit, like, wide receivers and offensive weapons except Jonathan Taylor. You know, like, he didn't, and even at the Eagles, he didn't really have a lot of great receivers. It's not like this guy's played with a lot of great receivers yet. And he's got more wins than losses. Last year, he had more. He had like 20-something touchdowns and only like 4 to 7 interceptions. I mean, you know, I think like this is his last year to redeem himself. But I think like this guy has overachieved with what he's had on his team on the offensive level. The other big trade. Russell Wilson to the Broncos. And Drew Lock went back to the Seahawks. Does this make Broncos contender? I tell you what, if they wanted to contend, it's about the best move they could possibly make, man. It's the best move they could possibly make. It really is. They had AFC. You got Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. We still don't know what Trevor is going to be for the Jacksonville. Yeah, man. You got Mac Jones at the Patriots. Like, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC and a lot of good young quarterbacks in the AFC. If the Broncos wanted to stand a chance of competing, they had to get a real legit quarterback. And it's about the most legit quarterback they could possibly get, except Deshaun Watson, which I'm going to get into next. I think this is a great move for the Broncos. In my lifetime, they've only had two good quarterbacks, two legit quarterbacks, and that was Elway and Peyton Manning towards the end of his career. Yeah, man, this makes the third legit. They've only had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. This would be the third. I think this is a great move for the Denver Broncos. They already have some offensive players. Defense is nice. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how this goes. All right. Deshaun Watson, jury declines to indict, did not find enough evidence. What does this mean? Well, it means he's not going to jail. He's not going to be charged for any criminal charges. There was no evidence for criminal charges. They're probably still going to try to sue him, but it's hard to win a case. It's hard to win a civil case when you can't win the criminal. There's not enough evidence in criminal. There's probably not going to be enough evidence in civil. This definitely means that the Houston Texans can trade him now. It definitely means that the Carolina Panthers need to go after Deshaun Watson. They need to trade Sam Darnold and whatever else they have to trade to get Deshaun Watson, except Christian McCaffrey if they can. Deshaun Watson and Christian McCaffrey would be nice. Would be very, very nice. It would. It would be very, very nice. There's going to be a lot of teams going. I mean, a lot of teams is going to be after Deshaun Watson. And let's actually pull up the NFL.com And like, let's see what teams are gonna be after him. I mean, like, do the Cleveland Browns try to trade Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson? Because they're clearly Baker's gonna be they're keeping Baker and moving on with Baker for next year because they traded Case Keenum back to the Vikings. All right, so all the teams that should be going after Deshaun Watson next year: Miami, Pittsburgh, uh, Tennessee, maybe, but they probably won't. Um, Colts, Jacksonville's got Trevor Lawrence, so we'll see what he does. Um, AFC West is good. Um, Giants, maybe the Vikings, Lions, even though he ain't gonna go to Detroit. Who the hell wants to go to Detroit? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Saints, Carolina, maybe even Arizona. Trade Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson. That might work. Kyler Murray's a disgruntled employee. That might work. That might work. It really might work. All right, so let's get into a couple of these other topics. We'll talk about Jussie Smollett, his breakdown in court. If y'all didn't see it, he basically, after found guilty, getting 6 months in jail and 3 years probation, he started shouting, "I'm not suicide. If I die in prison or I die in jail, just know it wasn't me." This is it's all an act. He said he said that I could have, I'm innocent. If I was guilty, I could have said so a long time ago. What you should have. That's the thing. There's a difference between what you should do and could do. And I had this debate with my friend about running from the cops. He was saying what you should be able to run from the cops whether you're innocent or not. My thing is, why would anybody that's not guilty of anything have any reason to run from the cops? You really can't give me a good reason for that. That's just really dumb. But yeah, Jussie Smollett he's just trying to put on an act. I don't think nothing's gonna happen to him. He should have got more time as far as I'm concerned. Because if this would have really happened, if it would have really happened like he said it did, they be trying to get these dudes life in prison. They be trying to get these dudes life in prison. And the fact that you faked a hate crime, that's a hate crime within itself. That is a hate crime within itself. Faking a hate crime. That's a hate crime. And if we're going to sit here and punish these hate crimes at a higher severity, then this needs to be classified as a hate crime, what he did, and then he'd be punished more. And then he was like, well, why didn't the guys that were involved get jail time? Well, that's because they didn't lie. They told the truth. And that holds weight in court. It holds some kind of merit. When you lie in court, it holds no weight, no merit, man. When you tell the truth, it holds all the weight and the merit. Because, if you're going to lie in court, you're going to lie to anyone and anywhere. And, of course, he's an actor. It's easy for actors to lie. They're used to, acting out lies. So, yeah, I'm not going to say on Jussie too much, a.k.a. Juicy Smollett. But he got what he deserved. Should have been more time. He should have got at least a year or two. He committed a hate crime, as far as I'm concerned. And it sets a bad precedent. It makes it now, like, when the real hate crimes happen, people are just not going to, they're going to be reluctant reluctant to just, automatically believe the real victims now when you're faking being a victim. These fake victims make it worse for the real victims, you know. So that's that. And after he gets out, he's just gonna be like the brunt of a joke for the rest of his life. He's gonna be the laughing stock of actors for the rest of his life. Um, People getting kicked off of planes for political views. Why is this an issue? First of all, it's a hypocrisy and a double standard. Let me tell you why. If they were wearing fuck Donald Trump t-shirts, I guarantee the flight attendants would not be trying to kick them off the plane. But the fact that they're wearing fuck Joe Biden t-shirts and Let's Go Brandon masks and t-shirts, which the Let's Go Brandon, for people who don't know, a lot of people have created a subliminal message with the Let's Go Brandon slogan, basically meaning fuck Joe Biden, because of basically a reporter interviewing I want to say it was a race car driver or baseball, I think it was a race car driver, and they were shouting fuck Joe Biden, and the reporters said they were shouting let's go Brandon when they weren't. So people basically made a subliminal message, a alternate meaning, a definition for that term, let's go Brandon. But this is the thing, before that ever came about, you don't think 10 years ago parents were making a t-shirt for their little boy Brandon, a let's go Brandon t-shirt for their little kid Brandon or something before? You don't think nobody's ever made a t-shirt that says let's go Brandon on before now? I could tell you that's false. So this idea that you automatically take let's go Brandon and assume it means fuck Joe Biden every single time is really bogus. That's just you feeding into the narrative and whatnot. But yeah, if somebody was to wear a fuck Donald Trump t-shirt, I guarantee they wouldn't kick him off a plane. But since it's Joe Biden, that's where this double standard and hypocrisy comes in. It's complete horseshit, complete bullshit. It shouldn't be happening whatsoever. I see the black dude wore the fuck Joe Biden t-shirt. The white dude with a let's go Brandon mask or t-shirt. They both got kicked off, and they basically get kicked off for political views because their political views don't align with the political views of the flight attendant or the pilot or whoever it may be, which is bullshit because people don't want to start doing. That's going to open up a floodgate of, okay, you want to have political views on an airplane, then Republican business owners can start saying, they don't want Democrats in their businesses. Kick out Democrats. This is going to open up a bad floodgate of both sides, kicking people out of businesses and stuff over political views. You think a Republican business owner can't do the same damn thing? You come in with a I love Joe Biden t-shirt, he could tell you, hey, get the fuck out. Easily. Get the fuck out. Don't eat at my damn restaurant with that bullshit ass t-shirt. This idea that people are getting fired or kicked out of places for political views is a very slippery slope. And the Democrats started this shit. They started this shit, and it ain't gonna go well for them when they lose office. Democrats ain't winning shit this next term. They're too far out there. they're just too far out there. Some of these ideas that they come up with and they're trying to push are not reality. Make believe, fairy tales, made up, bogus bullshit. And some of us are just not going to live in fairy tale world and made up world. You know, like non binary will never ever fly in my book. It would never be accepted. You're either male or female. This idea that you're neither will never fly in my book. Them or they is never, you're never gonna get me to call somebody them or they. You don't get to force me to sound ignorant just so your feelings won't be hurt, just so you could feel better about yourself. You don't get to do that. You don't get to force me to sound ignorant and speak illiterate, improper English. You don't get to force me to call one person plural. No, we call two people or more them or they. You don't get to redefine it. You don't get to make me have to talk illiterate. You don't get to force that upon me. Just because you don't feel right. Because you're so sensitive about how somebody addresses you. Like a complete stranger is supposed to know how to address you anyways and really give a rat's ass in the first place. So yeah, some of these fairy tale, imaginary, made up things on the Democratic far left radical side is never gonna fly in the real world because they are made up, make believe. Snow White, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Smurfs, whatever. It's all make believe. It's some Pixar made up, imaginary, make believe fairy tales. I don't believe in fairy tales. I believe in reality, real world stuff. And that's how it works. Let me get to this last topic, and I'm not going to stay in this long. Game says he's better than Eminem. I don't do a lot of music related topics, and I'm going to start doing more. We had the hip hop talk with Mr. Jones. We're going to have him back on this coming up week. Does Game have any legs to stand on with this? I'm going to say he has a little bit. I know where Game's coming from. I know exactly where Game's coming from with this. Game is basically saying he makes better albums than Eminem. Early Eminem was phenomenal, made really great albums. As of late Eminem, last 4 albums, not so great. Not so good, in my opinion. I mean, to be honest with you, in the last 10 years, Eminem in the last 10 years, I would put J. Cole's catalog above his, Kendrick Lamar's catalog above his, maybe Lil Wayne's catalog above his, Drake's catalog above his. As far as overall body of work, album, his whole albums, singles, whatever. I mean, Eminem is not that great of a beat picker because he's not that great of a beat maker. I repeat, he's not that great of a beat maker and a beat picker. Game definitely is picking better beats. Game's first album might be better than any album Eminem's ever put out. His second album is fire, third album, 4 out. I mean, Game's got some hot albums because Game always rapping over dope-ass beats and he's spitting dope-ass rhymes. That's the thing when you talk about making albums. The beats got to be hot too. If the beats ain't hot, then I can't sit here and say your album's hot. If only half, more than half the beats are like whack, then the album's whack. That's how it works. Part of what makes the album good or the song good is the beat. Is the beat dope? Okay. Then is the hook dope? Is the rhyme dope? But if you got a bunch of whack beats, I mean, you can spit dopest lyrics all you want, man. I'm not gonna say that you necessarily make better music. Are you a better lyricist? Are you more complex of a rapper? Yes, Eminem is that. Has he been more successful? Bigger impact? Yes. But I get where Game's coming from. Game makes better albums than Eminem, especially at this point in their career. Game just makes better overall albums. And that's really what Game is saying here. You know, most people's always going to say, and that's the thing. You got greatest rapper, most successful rapper, and then you got dopest rapper. You know, like Eminem's the most successful, but the greatest of all time is probably Jay-Z. The best of all time is probably Nas or Rakim. You know, that makes any sense to y'all. Most successful of all time, to be honest with you, you would have to say probably, if he was still alive, it'd probably be Eminem and Tupac. Best of all time, you know, then you get into like Nas, Rakim, maybe even Biggie. Greatest of all time, I gotta say is Jay-Z. Jay-Z is the greatest of all time because he was made way better albums than Eminem and hasn't sold as many records, but all his albums are super successful. Number one albums all the time. Jay-Z comes out tomorrow, his albums, that's all anybody's gonna be talking about is Jay-Z. They ain't gonna be talking about nobody else but Jay-Z. You know, so I get where Game is coming from. Now, as far as the verses, I don't know. I'd rather see Eminem versus Jay-Z in the verses. That's what I would rather see. Once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I'm your host, Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast. Don't forget this podcast is sponsored by Promo Palace LLC at promopalace.biz. If you need online marketing promotions for your music, product, brand, or your service, please check out promopalace.biz. See it scrolling down below. For Shizzle, do you dizzle? Yes, I dizzle. Check out dizzlebrand.com. They got a dozen recipes. Order the Dizzle online. You can order t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Follow them on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And once I get off here, I got to post another TikTok and some Facebook posts on the Dizzle brand today. So follow them up. Don't forget that the audio version of my podcast goes to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, TuneIn, Stitcher, Slacker, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, and much more. You can Google Paul Pickett Podcast. You see the name above me. You'll see dozens and dozens of sites that come up, plus the press release that we put out there as well. And don't forget the video version goes to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, and Rumble. And then we'll take the pre-recorded version and I'll stream it live on Twitter at Promo Palace LLC, Twitter at Paul P Podcast, and Twitter at Paul W. Pickett. Make sure you follow all these, check them out, and much more. Peace, and I'm out.